Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. This is Sandra here, and today we're going to be discussing the fact that I passed my MLO exam and I passed it on the first try. Yay! So let's get into it. I actually recently left one career to get into the other one. An MLO is a mortgage loan originator, or most commonly known as a mortgage loan officer. I actually decided that this would be the career for me because I've always wanted to get into something finance related. I love money. I love calculating it, talking about it, saving it, budgeting it, and spending it. So I ultimately decided that I would get into mortgage loan origination after my first and second encounter and brush in with real estate. I'm just 26. I was able to purchase my first home. It was a moderately priced home, as well as it being a condo, a 2 bedroom, 2.5 bath condo, nothing fancy, nothing extravagant. But in the time that I had this condo, I really brushed up against the different aspects, even the time of having the condo, but getting the condo, I brushed up against the different aspects of real estate, the inspections, the appraisals, the bank loan process, gathering up all the documents and sending them over. I really got into that. I was really intrigued by what my mortgage loan originator was doing. So in any case, it was on my mind for some time. Once I sold that condo and made some profit off of it, I said, well, wait a second, this may be for me. So in any case, here I am. I'm starting a new journey, a new career, and I'm super excited about it. And let's talk about the fact that I passed my exam. One of the first things that I want to discuss is that this exam is not easy at all. It definitely does take a lot of studying, a lot of time, and that is exactly what I did. I actually dedicated about 3.5 weeks to studying. It was quite a lot. It goes over state uniform content. It goes over general knowledge terms for mortgages. It goes over state and federal laws. It also goes over any actual regulations. So there's quite a lot of information that is in this exam, and you really have to know what you're talking about, obviously, because you're dealing with people's financial futures. And a home could be one of the biggest purchases. I honestly think it is the biggest purchase, but we'll be on the safe side and say one of the biggest purchases that most individuals will make. So you want to make sure that the person that's on the other end of that phone, that computer, that desk knows what they're doing. And so, anyways, there was a lot of studying involved, and let's talk about exactly what I did to make that happen. So I took studying very seriously. That was one of the most important things. You don't want to take it lightly. It is a lot of information. The exam itself was about 120 questions. I believe about 5 of those questions are not counted. I've heard some people say it may be 10, but I was specifically told during my prep course that it would be about 5 questions that are not counted, that are unmarked. You don't know which question it is. You just know that it's not going to be counted, but you want to try your best for all 20. So I took very serious time in my studying. I ordered a prep course from oncourse.learning.com, and they have a prep course that you can prepare for the exam. It was really good. It came with flashcards, virtual flashcards. There was also practice tests, practice questions, answers, explanations. I went through this program multiple times. I also made sure that I set aside the blocked amount of time that it would take to take the exam, and I actually took multiple practice exams. This is very important because you want to get yourself and your body used to the fact that you're going to be sitting there. The exam should be about 2, almost 3 hours long for most people. And for me, it took me about 2 hours. I think 2 hours is the general amount of time, but you do have a maximum of 3 hours. And so since the exam is really that long, I really got myself into the habit of sitting down for 2 hours, taking the exam, no distractions, no phone, nothing around me, just me and that exam going through question by question. That was very helpful to me. At the end of it all, once I was complete, I would go through the answers. I actually went through whatever I did not feel confident in, and my practice exam provided me with the opportunity to mark whether I felt confident or did not feel confident on a specific question. And so I would go back, whether I got it right or wrong, I would go back to anything that I was not confident in and I would re-review it. So I definitely think that that is one of the things that helped me out a lot, is making sure that I built my confidence level in all of the questions and all of the areas of the exam. So on the day of the test, I gave myself plenty of time to actually get to the location. I mapped it out the night before. I'm in a new city, a new area, so I didn't know the location off rip, but I did make sure that I mapped it out the night before. I woke up super early. I had a great breakfast, made sure that I was fueled up, ready to go. Then I drove. I gave myself plenty of time to drive. I did some meditation. I did some praise worship. I did some praying. I did it all. I got myself mentally prepared to go in there and crush that test. And that's exactly what I did. I got an 86 on the test. But another few things that I actually ended up doing that day of is I made sure that my clothing was as loose fitting and comfortable as possible, because you will go in there and they will actually do an exam of you. If you have any pockets, they'll ask you to turn the pockets out, and thank goodness I didn't have any of that. All I really had, so I didn't want to go through the rigmarole of all of that. All I really had was a cardigan to keep me cool, just in case, or excuse me, to keep me warm, just in case I was a little too cold in the facility. So I tried to minimize what I was going to wear, just because I knew that they were going to take me through all those things, and I wanted to have as little contact as possible with them. Number one, for COVID, and number two, for the sake of, I just want to be mentally prepared and in the space for me to take this exam, and to not be so concerned with you checking on me, looking through. They literally had me take my glasses off so they could look at it to make sure that there was nothing there. So, you know, I gave myself plenty of time to prepare for all of those things. I used the restroom before I got into that exam, because I did not want that to be a distraction for me. Your test time actually continues to run down. If you decide that you need a break, need water, or need to go and use the restroom, it still runs down. So I made sure to use the restroom before I got into the actual testing exam and got onto my computer. Another important tip that was helpful for me was I flagged any questions that I was not able to answer or that I was unsure of. Again, the test is going to be 120 questions, and it's known that about 5 of them are not graded. So not answering a question could make or break your percentage greatly. So what I ended up doing was that I flagged every single question that I felt I was unsure of, and the test does allow you to do that. There's a little flag up there. You click it and boom, you can put in an answer, but you can also go back right before you hit submit all questions. It will ask you, do you want to go back and review your questions that you flagged? So I went back, reviewed those questions, so that way you can get those out of the way. I got all of my easy questions, everything that I knew that I was for certain on, I got those out of the way. And anything that needed to be flagged and looked at again, I went back and re-reviewed. That way I use up as much brain capacity and as much energy on everything that I know for certain. And then I can go back towards the end and really try to focus and give myself a bit more time at the end on anything that I was not sure of, but we're knocking those really easy ones out of the way. Boom, boom, bam. Another thing that I had to teach myself to really do, especially after so many years of not having to take a standardized test, is that I looked out for negative terms. So for example, if it says every single one of these items is blue except for, I knew to specifically really look at that question, because I may think, oh, this item is blue and I'm looking at the sky, and I see the sky there. Well, it might have said the sky, it might have said the ocean, and it might have said a bluebird, So in any case, because I was able to read that question and notice that every single one of these is blue except for, or but for, except, all of these, but all of those specific type of terms can be something that can throw you off. So I was super excited to know that I had practiced that during my practice exams, and I was able to really look out for those questions and those terms and those. The exam will be super tricky and super wordy. Sometimes they'll throw in information that you do not necessarily need, or sometimes they will put in information but just hide it in a sea of other things that you think you may need. So looking for those specific terms, looking to really understand and read the question is going to be important. That brings me to another point. I actually read every single question and set of answers twice, sometimes 3 times. Because again, you're going to come up on some terms. You may come up on a whole bunch of different things that you are just unsure of, or you may be like, oh, you know what? That concept makes sense to me. I'm calculating the DTI, the debt to income ratio, and I know that they have a car loan. That car loan is an obligation, but the question may have said that, oh, they only have 8 more months of a car loan. Well, at that point, you probably don't need to calculate that into the debt to income ratio. Actually, I'm not going to say probably, you don't need to calculate that. That was literally one of the questions on there. They tried to throw me off and I almost fell for it, but I thought about it later, just right before I submitted that answer. And I thought, wait a second, 9 months of a car payment, I don't need this in the debt to income ratio. Out of here. So reading the question was very important for me. Reading the answers multiple times were very important for me. And again, that's something that I built. That's a skill I built in my practice exams. I was just so used to just reading. I actually read so much that I built up so much test anxiety around this exam. But in the end, I was able to just focus, get my mind right, and actually take care of business and get the job done. So those were some of the tips that I had today about how I passed my exam and how I passed it on the first time. Just in quick summation, I would definitely say that you want to take your time to study. I took about 2 to 3 weeks to study, just really taking my time to use my flashcards, use my prep course. I'd write down my terms, reread them, re-go over these terms, and I just really took my time and took the test to be of the utmost importance. If you have to schedule time outside of work, a few hours to get it done, that's going to be very important for yourself every day or every a couple of days out of the week. But taking the time to seriously study and not thinking that you've gone through the course material and that you're going to be good. Trust me, the course material is great and it's going to give you the information that you need, but it's not going to 100% fully prepare you for the exam without any additional measures in place. Another thing that I did is I made sure that I gave myself some time. I relaxed my mind. I definitely meditated, prayed, had a moment with some music before I went in there. I made sure that I was like fueled and ready to go. That was very important. And I didn't mention this before in the video, but I'll go ahead and put this in there. The night before, I actually did not look at any study material. So my test was on a Saturday morning. All of Friday, I did not look at test material because I had spent 2 to 3 weeks before that preparing. So Thursday night, once I put those books and those flashcards away, I put those away. And finally, when I got into the test, I took my time to like really read through, really understand the questions. I read through them multiple times. I also made sure that I flagged any questions that I was unsure of in the exam. And I went back to those at a later time. And again, I looked out for any wordy questions or any questions with negative terms in them, like not, but for, all except, or the word except. So I really believe and I really truly think that you out there, if you're watching this video because you are also studying, I think that you're going to do just fine. I think that you can really do it. Use some of those tips. Of course, feel free to adjust and modify as you need to, but I really do think that these things that I've implemented here in my study plan were the reason why I made it so far with an 86. I really do hope to see you on the other end as a mortgage loan originator, and good luck to everybody. Bye.